Hi everybody, this is Dr. B with Addiction Recovery. It's nice to be back with you. Today we have a very special guest and a very important topic that you guys often ask about. We'll get to that in a second. As always, we are here to take the scientific literature, clinical experience, distill it down for you so that you have better informed decision making, whether it's you yourself that is suffering from substance abuse or a loved one. So let's get right into it. Our special guest is Nicole from Real Talk Recovery, and she just flew out from Arkansas last night, and she's down here in sunny Orange County, California. Hi, Nicole. How are you?
I'm good. What about you?
I am okay. Your flight was okay?
Yep, I made it.
Awesome. You know, I have you here. Let's get right into it for everyone. I have you here, and there's so much to talk about, but I just kind of realized that I was going through some of the questions, and a question that comes up often is something that you're dealing with, and this gives us a great opportunity to see from your experience what's going on, and I can give some feedback. Just so you guys know, Nicole has an awesome channel, Real Talk Recovery, and we've met, I think it's probably been almost a year now. This is the first time we're actually meeting in person. She is on medication-assisted treatment. She's a large advocate in that social media space with a lot of following, and she gives great information on not just her own journey, but she is a tireless supporter of anybody and everybody out there. Do check out her channel, Real Talk Recovery. She's awesome. Okay, let me ask you something, Nicole. You're going through a taper right now, right?
Right.
Okay. And it's Suboxone?
Yes.
And what is the dosage?
I am currently on 2 milligrams.
2 milligrams. And what did you start at?
12 milligrams.
How many years ago?
I started out 5 years ago.
And your primary substance abuse was?
Intravenous oxy and methamphetamine.
Okay. And you started this stuff 5 years ago. How many years ago did you start using opiates?
Oh, gosh. 11 years ago.
Okay. 11 years ago, opiates. It was intravenous. There was polysubstance, I guess. There was some meth, benzos,
Yes.
all this other stuff.
Yes.
A lot of this information you guys can get from Nicole's channel. I really want to get into her experience with the issue of the current taper. But again, she's a recovering addict, and she is kicking ass. Like I said, go to her channel. Amazing information. But so 5 years ago you started, and the dose again was 12 milligrams?
12 milligrams. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you are down to 2 milligrams now.
Yes.
When did you start the taper?
I started my taper in March of 2019.
Okay. And why did you start your taper?
Well, one day, honestly, I had been going back and forth in my mind about whether or not I should taper or not. I had a lot of outside pressure from other people. So for the longest time, I was thinking, should I taper? Maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. And what I did was I waited until I felt comfortable tapering. Because at first I was starting to try and taper because of what other people were telling me I should do. And so I talked with my doctor. I sat down after going back and forth in my mind for about a year. It was back in 2018 where I really started wanting to start tapering. And then in March, it was maybe January of 2019 when I sat down and talked with my doctor and said, I'm ready. I want to start a taper. And that's when we started toying with the idea in January. And then in March, that's when I started the taper.
So it's about, 15 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So before getting into a few things you pointed out, one was outside pressure, which kind of points out to how extreme the market for pressuring to get off this medication or not being is, and at times it could be deadly. Now, there's something that occurred right here. All of you guys that keep asking me questions in different ways about tapering, there's so many things involved. One of the things I want to note with Nicole is she started digesting the idea of tapering 1 year before she even started her taper, which is perfect. I'm not saying everybody should do it a year, but it really draws out and points to how important this is to really understand what you're doing so you don't get in trouble. She started a year, and right now it's been 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 months that you're tapering. And she's been tapering now for 17 months. And it's beautiful. It's the way it should be done, and it's just something to keep in mind. So you're at 2 milligrams right now. How's that? And tell us about how you did taper. Tell us what method you guys used.
Okay, so when I first met with my doctor in March and we started the taper, he automatically took away 2 milligrams.
Yeah.
So I went from 12 milligrams down to 10 milligrams. But I stayed at that 10 milligrams for 90 days. So I wouldn't see him again for 3 months. So I stayed at 10 milligrams and just took that for the next 3 months. And then when I went to go back and see him after 90 days, then he took away another 2 milligrams and I went down to 8 milligrams and so on and so forth until I got down to about 4 milligrams. When I got down to 4 milligrams, he took away 1 milligram and I went down to 3 milligrams and stayed at that for 90 days. Then I went back and he took away another milligram and I went down to 2 milligrams. This is where I messed up though. I took it upon myself after I dropped down to that 2 milligrams to take away a milligram on my own without telling my doctor about it. So I started taking 1 milligram on my own after about 60 days. And I was doing great. Then the pandemic hit and my whole life changed. I had my son at home every single day. I had the responsibility of making sure that I was teaching him like I was a school teacher. And that 1 milligram, I started getting stressed out. I started feeling like, you know what, maybe I can't do 1 milligram. And so I took back my milligram and started taking 2. But I was always prescribed 2 milligrams. I should have never went down to that 1 milligram without talking with my doctor first.
So a few thoughts on that. Number one, again, well, kudos to your doctor. I want to meet him because this might be the first time, and I'm sure it's out there or I can't remember. This might be the first time I've seen a clinician do it right. And do it right is a little bit different for every person, but nevertheless, the way he did it and different variations for different patients is how I do it. So that on him. Number two, it's kind of easy because, and I keep telling everybody over and over and over again, whether you're getting on, whether it's at your maintenance stage in your life, or whether it's tapering, you should categorically absolutely not come off of this, do anything with this medication on your own. I have almost never seen somebody not get in trouble when they went and managed it on their own. And it must, it would be it's easy and like butter as a clinician. If you got a patient like you, this is what you do. Because I always use the analogy of blood thinner, right? Old school blood thinner, Coumadin, right? It's actually rat poison. You tell people when you're on that medication, it needs regular follow-ups with labs to adjust the level for the physician. You goof it up. Means bleeding to death or some sort of a stroke, embolic stroke. Both of them the same thing. And you don't do it with that. And I keep telling you guys, this medication is the same. Number two, again, you went off on your own, and that's where you get into trouble. And I run into this issue every single day. Whether it's I tell somebody, in fact, I'm going to give you the most recent one. Again, it's dozens and dozens. I had a guy, this was coming on, and it took a few days and some help with his dad. And I tell people the same thing. He was coming on. And I said, it took a few days because he was starting to really get into his pills at that time, I believe. It might have been he was just starting to dabble on heroin. A real nice kid. And got him on. And he calls elated and overjoyed about how he felt.
Yeah.
And I made it really clear as daylight for him. Please understand. Okay, I've tried to reach you up for like a week now. You had a really rough time because you didn't want to get on, but you took that step. You're on. You're happy. You're about to go to work. You need to make an appointment next week. When I see them for the first month, I see them several times to get the dosing right.
Right.
Never saw him again, right? And you already know what's going to happen if they're actually on it. They're either going to they're going to do whatever they think needs to be done. So I didn't see him, and I'm very busy. And several weeks ago, on a Sunday, he just showed up here in the office. And I'm usually here on Sundays working, and I almost didn't recognize him. And when I realized who it is, I'm like, hey, how are you doing? And I'm like, you relapsed, right? What happened? And he's like, well, I was on it, and I within a couple of weeks, I started tapering myself. And then I was doing great for 2 months. Well, you weren't doing great. 2 months is not what this is about. This is a chronic, relapsing, remitting disease with long-term remission possible. And then he went back on it, and now he's graduated up to, seems like pretty large doses of smoking fentanyl.
Man.
So this time around, and this is within a year, and it's a young man, wonderful kid, nice dad. He was just completely someone different. Dad was no longer involved. And I spent a week, maybe 2 weeks, trying to get him in here every day and do it right. And he didn't follow one direction. And at some point, unfortunately, you only can do so much with your limited resources, And I said, hey, guys, hands off. Stop trying to reach out. And that's the consequences. And people that tapered down, because that's what he did. He tapered down on his, he didn't follow up, went one round and tapered down. But, you bring out a lot of those issues. Let me ask you this. Being on that 2 milligram dose, can you tell us any cravings, any withdrawals, any changes in mood or sleep?
Once I dropped down to the 2 milligrams from 3 to 2, I didn't really notice like a shift in anything. It's when I dropped from 2 to 1, like I wasn't supposed to, that I noticed. Like at night, I was like having the hardest time falling asleep. And I don't even want to say I had restless legs because I know it wasn't that, but I was just like having overall anxiety. At 2 milligrams, I feel exactly the same way I felt when I was on 4 milligrams or 6 milligrams. Like I haven't noticed anything like different. With 2 milligrams, I feel perfect. In fact, I feel like I have more energy now that I'm down to 2 milligrams, because when I was up on 8 and 12, I had gotten to a point where I don't know if it was the Suboxone, I think it was just me, where I was just having a lack of motivation. Mm-hmm. And so I had to change some things around and, get involved in doing like the meetings and stuff. And that started helping me a lot. But once I got down to 2 milligrams, I felt perfect. I didn't have any withdrawal going down that slowly every 90 days at all from any of the drops I did.
And they brought up something else too, because you're saying at the dose, which isn't that big of a dose, 12 milligrams, your motivation was a little bit maybe less. And I've always argued and advocated against the fact that this stuff has really any effect on you at doses. And let me redact what I've said and modify it. And I've been thinking about this, and you just brought it up. I think I'm very strong arguing that point for the folks that argue, hey, these guys are high on Suboxone all day.
Right?
So it is, after all, an opiate, right? The person's not high, but there's got to be some changes in mood. But that's okay still, because what is the alternative?
Right.
Doing heroin or doing cocaine. So some people, I think, are actually, some people, their mood is elevated on it because it really produces that dopamine release.
Right.
So you're doing good on the 2, and you're saying no sleep, no cravings, no withdrawals right now.
Right. Perfect.
Excellent. Now, here's a thought. If I was ready to taper you from the 2, one of the things I would have done is cut that strip into quarters and taken a quarter off for 3 months. That's probably how I may have approached it.
But I did that on my. See, I don't even know what my doctor's going to do.
Oh, you went to 1 or 2?
I took myself down to 1.
No, I would have taken you down to 1.75.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that when I see my doctor, because I'll see him next week when I get back, I'm going to see where he wants me to go from there, which I'm sure, because he told me the same thing. He said, once we go down in the lower end of the 2s, we will go down half a milligram at a time instead of a whole milligram.
In fact, I do the same thing with benzos, and here's what I do with benzos. When you're at the higher doses, There's other reasons I do this too, because it's dangerous when someone's on 6 milligrams of Xanax and that's what we're tapering, which I would like to, whatever it is. But when you're on 6 milligrams, my first thing is I only give you a week supply, and I want to get it down to as soon as possible to somewhere where we're relatively safe. So I want to go to 5.5, 5, because I know you're not going to get hurt physiologically, and I just want to get somewhere quickly. So I give you enough pills at that milligrams. Once I get to a low dose, now I switch it from going from milligrams per dose to number of pills per week. So let's say if I've been giving you Klonopin 1 milligram 4 times a day for a week, so 7 times 4 is 28. Now I get you down to a place where I feel comfortable, where you're at, let's say, 1 milligram twice a day, and you really want to continue to taper. So that would be 14. At that point, I just start giving you 1 less tablet a week or something. So instead of 14, you get 13. And I tell you, look, you have 1 less tablet for the whole week. So figure it out, chop off. So it's the same idea.
Yeah.
So it seems like it's going fantastic. That's kind of exciting,
really
right?
Oh, I'm excited, but then I'm also kind of getting to this point in my own recovery and with Suboxone where I'm actually beginning to accept the fact that it's going to be okay. Like if I decide to stay on Suboxone for the rest of my life, that is absolutely okay.
So I'm thank you for being comfortable talking about this, because I think so many people could hear this. One of the things, so it's amazing, we've gone down about I think 80-90% on the dose, and let's say you end up at 1, and that's where your bottom floor is at. Is that a problem? You take 0.5 milligram twice a day for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years? Is that really that big?
It's not a problem to me. But I had to get to a point where I finally realized that it shouldn't matter what I'm doing in my recovery. And I've made such huge strides in my mindset, because for the longest time, I let what other people said about me being on Suboxone affect me and push me more to get off of it. And I'm happy. I feel good. I'm healthy. I have my son back. I got a good job. I'm able to help other people. And I don't know. I just have changed my mindset, because I really felt like I needed to be off this medication. I had to be rid of it. But the closer I get to the end, the more comfortable I am with, maybe I'll stay on the 1 milligram for a couple of years and see where I'm at after that. I'm kind of just letting things happen and feeling it out little by little.
So you just brought up something wonderful. When people, I get this question a lot. And I even on the YouTube channel, how long do I have to be on this stuff? And they're asking about I don't know. We don't have strong clinical data where I can pick up like a calculator and give you the answer. And the answer Nicole gave was a really wonderful expression of the answer. You clinically, you make a decision given on your clinical presentation, okay? And not everybody, but not too few, may have to be on this long term, and let's just leave it at that. And that is okay. If you have to be on this long term, why is this any more of a problem than your insulin or your blood thinner or your cholesterol medication? It's just another medication for what we're viewing as a chronic relapsing issue that is defined by medicine. And the reason we know that's a good definition is because when I use that model, I get outcomes. I get response from my patients in the way they end up recovering. And so the attitude you have is amazing. What's not cool is you have to work up to that. And many people will never get there. I mean, I have had the guys in the worst situation, the girls in the worst situation, they're not even off the street. and they're talking about tapering.
Yeah, I've had that same experience with other people also. And whenever someone comes to me and tells me, and they've literally just got inducted onto Suboxone, and they're like, well, I don't want to stay on this very long. I want to get off in 2 weeks. And I tell them my experience, this is where I'm at. I've been on Suboxone for 5 years, and I'm just now getting to a place in my life where I can make my car payment. I have a home, and it's a place where I'm not going to get kicked out of or evicted. I'm staying sober for multiple years. I'm not relapsing. And I think that's another thing that I had to take into consideration for my life is if I am staying stable and I'm not picking up drugs and alcohol, yeah, sure, if I want to taper, that's my decision. But if I'm somebody who can't maintain sobriety on Suboxone, and then I'm thinking about wanting to come off of it in 2 weeks, that just doesn't make any sense. And that's what I hear so many people, they'll be struggling even to stay sober while they're on Suboxone. They'll take their medication and then they'll be dabbling with other drugs, and they want to come off of the medication as soon as possible. And I'm just I know for me, I have to, I'm staying sober. And so wanting to taper, that's okay for me, but I don't even know if I'm going to be completely off of it. I just finally got to a point where I'm okay, and I'm going to do what I need to do for me. And everybody is different. And that's another thing that I'm learning is that there's no definitive answer for every person of when they can get off or how long they're going to be on it or how much they need to be on. Every single person is so different.
And recovery, you actually really define, you're hitting it on the head. You're talking about this 5 years, and you're like, I am just finally getting to a place doing X, Y, and Z. And it's hard to get to that place even for normal folks.
Yeah.
Right? And I think one of the things that we have to be honest about and change our language in so many areas, but certainly substance abuse, because to me it is just a symptom of a pathological disease, which is of our society. One of the things I try to do with our patients and our clients is kind of realign their paradigm and their expectations about reality in a world of what I call cognitive dissonance, okay? Life is hard. You chose substance abuse, as far as I'm concerned, not because there's anything wrong with you. You were responding to a lot of social pressures, many of them stemming from childhood, that didn't give you the tools to cope. And these are all broad strokes I'm making, but in general, they capture quite a bit. And now I'm trying to get you back into that same world that caused you to run and hide from it with substance abuse. So this is an issue of chronic nature. Life is difficult, but somehow there's something refreshing, reinvigorating, and human about doing it right, which is knowing you have the home, knowing your bills are paid. I'm not saying it's the way we should necessarily live, but the alternative that we're choosing here, the substance abuse, boy, it's devastating.
Oh yeah, I think about it every day. I would never even be able to come and get on a plane and leave Arkansas and come over here and hang out with you guys and do all this stuff if I was still using drugs and alcohol. I couldn't even unplug myself from that lifestyle for long enough to come and stay for a week and do anything. I couldn't do anything on drugs. And so I have so much freedom now in my life because I'm not chained to my addiction anymore. And maintenance medication has helped me and enabled me to have that freedom and to be able to stay sober and to make good choices. And I keep learning every single day new things. I'm learning all the time, how to take just how to take one step at a time in different challenges, And so I'm happy. I'm not ashamed to be on Suboxone. I used to be embarrassed. I used to think that it was something that, I shouldn't tell anybody. And then when I started telling people and sharing about it, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. And I want to help other people who are on Suboxone not feel like they're different or that they're not important or that their recovery isn't real, because it is,
So that's awesome, which brings me to mind. I know you're always there on the phone for anybody, and I know you do stuff with our treatment center, and we're all open about that and how we do that. But besides that, in general, tell me what's going on in your channel. How do you make yourself so available 24 hours a day? Because everybody reaches out to you, and I've talked to some people that reach out to you, and everyone's so delighted by the. I mean, how are you so? It's invigorating for me to watch you because I'm tired. Tell us about your everyday.
I love doing it. I love it. It's not even a job to me. It's like the best thing that I could do because it helps me stay sober. It really does. I don't mean to get emotional. You knew I was going to get emotional. It helps me stay sober to help other people. And then when I'm able to talk to them and hear their experience, I relate to their experience. And every single time I hear a woman or a man that says, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to get sober, Nicole. I feel like I'm going to die. I think, and I tell them, you know what? I thought the same thing. I thought I would never be able to get my life back either. I didn't think that I would have anything that I have today. And I reached out for help. I never, ever would have considered getting on Suboxone if my husband hadn't gotten on it because I had heard so many horrible things about it and I was not educated. And so I gave it a chance. And the way that I stay available to people is I leave my phone on. I make a schedule every single week of the videos that I'm going to do in the live streams. I make sure that I have we go live every night at 7 and they know I'm going to be there. You know, even when I'm here, I'll be going live from my hotel room. And that way, if people need support, they can come on, we can chit chat. Sometimes we don't talk about recovery. Sometimes we just laugh. We talk about life. I put my phone number out there. I tell people to text me. But I'm going to tell you, I have a whole crew of people on Real Talk Recovery who help me. Oh. I have a whole crew of people that are sober, just like me, who are also on maintenance medication, who are helping me in my, we have a private chat with like almost 100 people in there. Merck's in there. Everybody's in there. Everybody from the channel that you know, from the comment section, all the guys that have, a couple of years sober that are on maintenance, they offer to help other guys that need a support. The women. It's becoming to the point where I'm getting a list together for women that are available to sponsor and men that are available to sponsor. That way, when somebody reaches out to me on Real Talk Recovery, says, hey, Nicole, I'm new to the channel and I need support. Do you have a guy's number I can call? Do you have a girl that I can call? And so I'm starting to do that now. And it's growing to be like something that I never even thought it would be. And I went on this whole emotional rant on my channel the other day about none of this would be possible if I hadn't gotten into recovery. It wouldn't have been possible if I hadn't started my YouTube channel. It wouldn't be possible. I didn't meet you guys, Austin and you. All of this is possible because of that. And I'm just so grateful. I think about it every day.
Well, I am. I'm sorry. I've been as you guys know, I've been a little offline last couple months, and we're going to get this going again ASAP. But I haven't gone on your channel. That is so impressive. It looks like you have a grassroots. I don't want to offend or say misuse this term, but a 12-step or a recovery movement group. That would be a better
yeah.
Recovery movement group of support. And you seem to be so well organized in the way you're doing this.
It's been trial and error. When I started this, I tried to start this 2 years ago, and it flopped. I didn't have a group of people that were really into and serious about it. But the last year, I've been working really hard and talking to all the people from my channel that are really active there, and I've been able to kind of congregate those people in, and they have just stepped up and said, we want to be a part of this. We want to do this. And so I have big plans. We're going to have a Real Talk Recovery meetup convention one day, in a state where everybody can come and hang out. It's slowly but surely growing little bit by little bit, but I always have my phone on me. I always have the number for people to call or text. I don't ignore calls no matter what time of the day or night it is. I mean, sometimes my phone will ring at 1 a.m. and I always answer it. Sometimes I don't want to answer it. Sometimes I don't want to talk to somebody that's struggling. But you know what? Every single time that I do that, I'm always glad I did. Like, sometimes I sacrifice time for myself to help others, but it always works out in the long run. And I'm glad that I do that because it helps me. Like, it really, I don't mean to be selfish, but it really is selfish because it's helping me. That's why I'm doing it, is because being of service to those people, it reminds me every single day, like, where I don't want to go back to being, and I can see myself in those people of where I've come from. And so it's encouraging, and it just keeps me on the right path at the same time. You know, sometimes there's a little drama or chaos that goes on, but nothing compared to what my life was in active addiction. So I'm happy to do it.
That really blows me away. And it's interesting because last time I was on your channel, I've been on there a few times, and we should do another one soon. I don't where we were answering questions.
I have my own Dr. B playlist.
Oh, you do? Oh,
yeah.
Cool. Well, here's one of the things that I noticed that I felt a little positive about, that we're doing something different. Over the time that we've done this, and this is the first time I really felt this, and it was, I guess, really through you creating this opportunity. I've noticed, because it's really the same group of folks, and I've noticed the sophistication of the questions evolving, and I was so proud of everyone on that day. And we got to do that soon. I got to do a lot of things soon and get back on track. But I was like, oh my God! I mean, what we're all doing, and Nicole tirelessly out there. These people are being educated, and they're understanding things. And outside of there, the questions I get are so difficult, and they're really on board. And so I was like, wow. Yeah. I was very impressed.
It's changed so much from when we first started, and we would just get those questions like, I don't know, is Suboxone an opiate? Or, we would just get like simple questions. And now people are they're educated more, but they also want to know more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we even have people that are coming to the channel that are not addicts. Moms and dads that are watching, that are asking questions. I have a lady, she's a pharmacist. She wants to get together and do a video with you and learn more so she can help people that are coming into the pharmacy to get their medication filled. Like, it's...
Oh, we should do that one.
It is awesome. Like, it makes me so happy, because I remember when I first started, and it was just a lot of negativity. It was a lot of people not understanding and disagreeing. And here's the thing, like, I don't want everyone to agree with my way of doing things, but we can agree that there's no right way to get sober. Like, we all are going to go through our own journey. And if being on maintenance medication helps somebody stay sober, that's their journey. And so I think that for the longest time, the only way that was taught to people to get sober was through abstinence, 12-step based treatment. And now there's more options. And so people I feel like are finally opening their minds to the different options. And so we are helping people to see that that being on maintenance medication, look, do I look like I'm a regular person? I'm coherent. I'm talking. I'm, like I said, have a job. I'm doing the right thing. Like, this is showing people that, hey, medication assisted treatment isn't a bad thing. And there are people like Nicole who are successful and doing well, and she is on maintenance.
In fact, I'll even say, put it even more stronger than you, and I'll put my neck out there. I wouldn't even say there's if somebody is forcing you to say, hey, there's a million ways to skin this cat, and this is one way, and I do it. That means if you want me to say it that way, then you need to tell me, hey, there's a million ways to skin this cat of diabetes. I choose to take insulin. Yeah. That would sound silly. And so you're actually being nice. I would say, yes, just like there's some people that present with diabetes, type 2, and they go and exercise and change their diet, and they can change it. So that would be the preferred route. The same is with this. But if we're going to go through the clinical evidence-based medicine and outcomes, well, I can tell you in a population, this will save lives. And you want, so I'm even going to put my neck out more than you being so kind. And I feel I'm a strong advocate of this stuff. Awesome. You're out here for the whole week.
The whole week.
And we're going to hang out and kind of look at what we're doing here in terms of harm reduction approaches. We haven't made enough videos lately. Let's get to that. And is there anything else you want to add with the viewers?
I'm so grateful to be here, and I love Dr. B. And if anybody's out there that's struggling, you guys reach out to me. And if you want to see Dr. B, I'll hook you up because he's the real deal. I'm the real deal. I mean, like, I'm so impressed with what's going on out here. I wish we could talk about that. Like, I want to make a whole video of what you got going on out here because they are doing amazing things here that it's just saving people's lives. It's so serious. So I just want you guys to know that this is real. Like, this is helping people, and it doesn't matter what you have to do to get to where you're going. Like, just get the tools that you need and start using them. And that's really all I got to say.
This Nicole bringing this thing up about the thing out here kind of gives me a little segue to talk about a concept, harm reduction. And I am a big harm reduction advocate, and I institute and integrate that through all of my practice philosophy, whether it's at the clinic level, at the institutional level. So I do want to say something about that. What we have here going on, and it's really a nonprofit thing, is we have a harm reduction program, and it's driven by medical students. And what is harm reduction? People think of it as Narcan, people think of it as needles, different kinds of things. But harm reduction, what it is at its core fundamental root is a universal set of principles that creates autonomy, respect, and free choice for the individual. And in this case, we're talking about patients. That is at its core what harm reduction is, no matter what you want to call it. Methadone clinic, shooting galleries, medication-assisted treatment, Narcan. None of those are just examples. And so there's something beautiful about what this is. Harm reduction is a universal set of principles that puts you as the struggling, marginalized patient first and respects your autonomy and choice and creates flexibility and non-judgment in your individual care, in health policy, in organizational policy, and in social public policy that disseminates what happens to you. Not only is it moral, not only is it ethical, but the science tells me I will do much better for you as the individual and society at large by following these practices. And so harm reduction really, at its most extreme level, is if you feel like sleeping on the street every night, that's your right, that's your choice. I will always be there for you, provide opportunities where you can get help and care, try to minimize the impact of you living on the street. I will never judge you, but I'm always here to give you the care that needs to be given to you so that you can get housing. And what we have going on here, what Nicole is talking about, is we have a large program driven by medical students, $0 in, $0 out, that creates a situation where addicts can get a whole host of things, but some of them include feminine hygiene products, access to health care, condoms, access to someone to hook them up or get them medical insurance, possibly housing, education, and being put into treatment. And that's what she's referring to, plus a friendly smile and a
It's
happy
amazing.
face.
Like, it made me just going out there and seeing everybody coming up here. It's just so amazing. It's awesome. I wish there was more stuff out there for people like that, because there's really not a lot of places where people can go and they're not going to be looked at like they're a piece of crap. And it's just so awesome to see everybody out there smiling and helping and greeting each person, asking them if they're okay. Do they have plenty of water? Or, is it too hot for them? Are they staying out of the heat? Are they taking care of themselves? Like, that's awesome.
Thanks, Nicole. I'm glad you enjoyed it out there. Let's get back out there and have fun. Hey guys, if you like this video, want to know more about substance abuse, go ahead and click right above to my left for other videos. If you really like our channel, click below to subscribe and like. See you next time.